Oh, hey, Cameron. Welcome to the Instagram live chat series hosted by Artisphere, presented by TD Bank. Today we're going to be talking to Allison and Jonathan Metzger, who I see just joined. And I'm letting them in. Let's see if we can get them here on the screen. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
You're good. Am I sideways?
You're sideways.
Or are you sideways? Oh no. Let's see. I got this on the tripod and now I gotta figure out how to.
Oh, that's okay. I could also turn sideways if you want me to.
Let's see if I can figure this out. Hang on.
Happy. Welcome. Everybody, we're working on a few technical difficulties. There we go. Now you're
Maybe I'll just hold it. That'll be easier.
Are you sure? Do you want to spin it and put it on your tripod?
I'm not sure if it'll work this way.
Okay. I don't want you to have like a really tired selfie arm after your live chat.
Let's see. Maybe I'll do that.
For those of you joining us, we are chatting today with Allison and Jonathan Metzger of Midnight Oil Studios. Allison's getting her setup worked out right now. And I can see some of her lovely work, their lovely work in the background, which we're going to talk a little bit about.
All right, I think I got it. Yep, perfect. There we go. Yay.
Well, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. My husband actually is out walking our puppy because he was trying to tear apart various things. So we decided maybe it'd be better if we just did, one.
Okay, great. Well, I'm glad to have you here. So Allison, tell us a little bit about tell us first a little bit about your work that you're sitting in front of that's so lovely.
Sure. Yeah. So this is actually some new work, a new kind of technique we've been working on. It's basically monotype paper collage. So what that means is monotype is a traditional printmaking technique where you basically are creating a one-of-a-kind print, which is kind of unusual in the printmaking world. Usually you do limited editions. Mm-hmm. But a monotype basically, you are basically painting onto your matrix. So in our case, that's our screen.
Okay.
Pulling that through the screen onto the paper underneath. So you can see here, this was kind of just like a color flat where I painted kind of a variety of very similar colors onto the screen and then pulled that through onto the paper. And then you can see I've used those colors in here where I've cut apart kind of shapes. So that's the paper collage part where I've cut apart the monotypes and then pieced them together to create the full effect. And then we go over that with some different sealants, so like a resin and then a matte finish to kind of pull back that shine of the resin. So yeah, that's kind of a new process that we've been working on. But we also are continuing to work in limited edition with our silk screen. It is, so for example, we're working on a new edition of Fireflies because we created one as a 5x7 and it's been insanely popular. And so we're starting proofing, so experimenting with different colors and kind of so you can see that, this one here, it's much a lighter background for that first layer. It's a lot lighter than over here. So we're kind of experimenting with the different options for those as well. So yeah, and it's all hand done.
And the question, like when I'm hearing you talk about this, how much chance is involved in the work that you're doing? Like how much when you're sort of going through these different layers and processes, do you have control over what's going to happen? Or is a lot of that sort of like, oh, we're curious to see how this goes?
Right. Well, so because we mix all our own inks and we use a lot of transparency base, so basically just a transparent acrylic base that we mix in with our colors. So a lot of times we don't know exactly how this color is going to look when it lays on top of the previous layer. So in that way, there is a lot of kind of working intuitively and using our color theory knowledge to understand, okay, so when I lay down, you know, a pale peach, and then if I put a green on top of it, that might look a little muddy. So on the stencil for that, I might need to cut out that, so it's just the white of the paper before I put the green down. So there is a lot of play, and just kind of with the time that we've spent creating our work, we kind of have that basic understanding of how the different colors will work. But we do occasionally, you know, still get really kind of happy accidents where we have this kind of huge library of all the color inks that we've mixed and our recipe books and everything, but occasionally something will be not what we thought it was, and we'll put it down and be like, oh, that's not what I thought it was, but it's actually better. So
I think what's so interesting to consider is what you're talking about in terms of a knowledge of color theory and a knowledge of what works well together. I took a painting class in college and had no real prior knowledge of anything. And so there was a lot of assumptions about what I was supposed to know, and I knew nothing. Cool colors, warm colors, primary, all of this, I sort of was backtracking, and I thought, oh my gosh, like there's a science to all of this mixing and playing and what looks good together and what is dissonant. And so I don't know, I think it's interesting to remember that sometimes for those of us looking at the end product, it's like, oh, that's so beautiful, but there's so much work and so much knowledge and sort of and thought and practice that goes into what you're creating.
Absolutely. The joke in the artist's kind of world or circle is when someone asks you like, oh, how long did this piece take to make? And it's like, well, I went to undergrad for art and I've been doing art my whole life. So basically 30 years, you know, like, I mean, obviously that's not what they're looking for, but that's, you know, kind of the cheeky answer, you know?
Right. Yeah. I didn't just dash this off, even though, I mean, that's part of the beauty is that when you look at a piece that is so well done, it does seem somewhat effortless, I guess.
Yeah.
You know,
right. And that's it's a wonderful, we get a lot of comments where people think it's digital art because we are very, very precise with our registration. So registration is like how we lay down the layers and match up the edges. So how we do the registration, and you know, people are like, oh, this is digital art, and in a way, like that's kind of a compliment because that means it looks so precise that it's like, oh, you can't have a human do this, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
that's
So
how did you two start working together? And I'm assuming you sort of complement each other in your skills and whatnot. I'm curious how you came to that partnership of
Absolutely. So we met in graduate school. We met in Lawrence, Kansas, at the University of Kansas. We were both working on our Master of Fine Arts program degrees there. Jonathan was working in traditional printmaking, and I was working in fine art textiles. And I fell in love with him right away. Like I was like instantly, it was one of those like fairy tales for me, and for him, he took a little convincing, but you know, I got him there eventually. But right from the get-go, even our master's theses that we were working on, I did a large scale installation based on the theme of celebrating women's work. And he did these beautiful, huge prints that were based on like playing with stereotypes and expectation of traditional men's labor. And we actually ended up, we had our we had our thesis exhibitions together in the gallery at the same time. It was beautiful. It worked so well. We just, I mean, ever since, you know, before we were even dating, we felt like our work really complemented each other, and we had a very similar aesthetic, and the things we found beautiful and successful were, you know, already we were on that, you know, same direction. So then when we started working together, it felt just very natural. It felt like it was almost like this continuation of like, it didn't ever feel like we just started. It just felt like we'd already been kind of going the same way, and we just managed to work together there. So
Urge. Okay,
yeah,
I love.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And how did you, I love the pieces of your constellations. What inspires this sort of the natural element in your work? Is it the landscape where you live? Where do you live, by the way? Tell us where you live.
Yeah, we're in Des Moines, Iowa, which we love. We love the Midwest. We're both from Minnesota originally. I'm from Duluth, and he's from southern Minnesota.
Okay.
And it just got too dark and cold in the winters for us there. So we're like, let's go. We still love the Midwest, but a little further south is, you know, is a little more ideal for us. But yeah, it's definitely, we get a lot of inspiration from the natural landscape all around us. We're on the road a lot doing art festivals. So, you know, we always have our sketchbooks. We always have our camera to, you know, capture those really beautiful, serene moments that we see, you know, every time we go anywhere. It's, you know, it could be the cornfields of Iowa. It could be the, you know, the mountains, you know, out west, Utah and Colorado, or, you know, anywhere. And so we have kind of a large, basically inspiration library of sketches and photos, and it's always growing. You know, we're always seeing more. So,
before we talk about Artisphere, which was y'all's first year there, and we loved having you, I was going to tell you that I did Ragbri when I was in college. So
nice.
I know. So I have ridden across that great state on my bike. And I'm very familiar with those cornfields that you just mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of corn for sure.
Lots of corn. Also, Iowa is not flat, at least not by bike.
No, it's really not.
There's a lot of rolling hills.
There's a lot of rolling hills, and you will have felt that, I'm sure, in your legs.
Definitely felt that. But I think part of your work, since so much of it is of the natural world, there's something about it that just really, it resonates. And I know for myself, I'm drawn to it. I'm drawn to your representation of the beauty that you see all around you. So thank you for that. So did you tell us what you thought about Greenville and Artisphere? This was y'all's first trip to Artisphere this year.
Yeah, we had an amazing time. It was our first art festival after the pandemic, so it was our first one since November of 2019, and
wow,
it was literally like perfect. We could not have asked for anything else to be any better. I mean, the people were there, the patrons were so excited to be there.
Yeah,
you know, the organizers and the volunteers were all just absolutely incredible. The weather was perfect. It was just
delivered for sure.
Yeah, which, you know, as we know, that is definitely not the case, even on a 50% basis usually. So, but yeah, it felt magical, really, to be jumping back in and have it be so perfect. Everything was just wonderful. So we felt
good.
Very, very good about that. And, you know, we did really well financially, and we made a lot of great contacts, and just had so much fun. Greenville is such a beautiful city. We stayed with an artist that lives there, Kent Ambler, and his wife. And it was amazing. It was like our first social experience. And yes.
They have Kent has that beautiful studio on Paris Mountain that is just lovely.
It was beautiful. It was stunning.
It's interesting that you said that, because your work and Kent's work, I mean, you're both printmakers, so there is that sort of connection. Did you know him from other shows?
Yeah, we had met him, I think, at a few other ones. I can't remember exactly what the first one was, but, you know, we connected, and he said, you know, if you're ever in Greenville, and so when we were invited to,
You were like,
we were like, hey, would you still be okay with that?
That's so awesome.
It was such a wonderful experience. Yeah.
Well, we're so glad that y'all are able to make it, and it was a special event, I think, because, you know, given the past year, everybody was just thrilled to be back together. So yeah, we're so glad that you guys could make it. And speaking of Kent's lovely house, I hear that you guys have a new house that you have been working on.
Yes, yeah, we bought a house. Let's see, when was that? We closed on it November 16th, and we moved in January because we had to do a lot of kind of real grubby work before we moved in, tearing out really, really thick old carpets and lots of plaster removal that was crumbling and all sorts of exciting dumpster filling activities. But no, we love it. It's wonderful. It's our first home, and we have so many exciting plans for it. And it's right now I'm in our kind of semi-temporary studio. The plan is to eventually build a separate like basically garage that will house part of our studio. But yeah, it's really wonderful to finally have a separate space for the studio, because before this we were in an apartment where the living room slash dining room slash kitchen area was our studio. So yeah, it's nice to have an actual, it's just a spare bedroom, but it's dedicated for the studio space. So it's wonderful.
That's wonderful. Mm-hmm. And how long have you been in Des Moines?
We moved to Des Moines April of 2019, so just a little over 2 years.
Okay. And you feel like a good community there of...
Yes. Des Moines has an amazing art scene. You know, there's great music and food, and yeah, we love it. It's wonderful.
Well, good. Do you have any other festivals on the horizon?
Yeah, we're doing, let's see, not this coming weekend, but the following weekend, so the final weekend of July, we're going to be in Loring Park in Minneapolis. And then we're doing one in Park City, Utah, the following weekend.
Okay.
And then it might be Milwaukee. I'm not sure. I usually can remember about 2 out, and then after that, I'm like, I can't remember.
You can deal with that next month.
Exactly.
That's right. Well, you've got some travel up ahead of you then.
Oh, sure. Yeah. We love it. We love being on the road. We have a van that we've kind of retrofitted to both store all of our work and display, as well as we can sleep in there. We have a little like propane stove and everything. So we're
fully efficient and ready.
Make use of every square millimeter.
And so, Allison, where can people find you? Tell us your handles to look for you so they can be sure to follow you and keep up with your work and your travels.
Sure, yeah. So you can find us, we're on Instagram at Midnight Oil Studio. And then we are also, I believe we're on Facebook under the same, just Midnight Oil Studio. And our website is midnightoilstudioworkshop.com. It's kind of a long one, but apparently there's a band in Australia called Midnight Oil, so we had to kind of work with that.
How did you get the name Midnight Oil?
Yeah, so, well, you know, of course, the burning the midnight oil. When we first started the business, we were also working not quite full-time, but pretty close to full-time in the kind of restaurant world. So having, you know, working 7 to 8 hour shifts during the day, and then also having our business. So there's that. But also we love Dolly Parton as a human. And she sang the song, there's a song that she wrote, Burning the Midnight Oil. And she, like, we don't necessarily love all of her music, but as a person, as a human, she is amazing. She's wonderful, and she makes you rethink all of your preconceptions about everything, and, you know, not taking just things at face value. And we love that about her. And
I would have never known that Midnight Oil was a nod to Dolly Parton. So it's and she is amazing. Yeah. Yeah. Have you listened to that podcast about the Dolly Parton podcast? You need to listen. Really good. I'll try to remember to email it to you after this.
Wonderful. Yeah. For sure.
Well, is there anything else that you would like to share with us before we sign off and let you get back to it?
Yeah. I can't really think of anything. No, we're just really excited to be back. We're really happy, that we were able to get vaccinated, so we feel safe, and we hope that it continues to be safe and get cleared up. And yeah, we love it. We love being on the road.
I've got a couple of questions here for you, though, Allison.
Yeah,
Robin, if you met Peggy's rescue possums.
Yes, we did. They were absolutely amazing, and I never thought opossums could be that cute.
That's hilarious. Other question, do you prefer the spontaneity of monoprinting over more intentional multi-step processes?
Oh, that's a good question. I think me personally, for my kind of creative style, I really love, I've kind of taken the reins on the monotype side of it. Jonathan he is like a printmaker through and through. He loves the meticulous nature of the step-by-step and that. So again, it's one of those things where our personalities and our strengths kind of really show and work. We work really well together as a team, because he prefers the very meticulous nature, and I prefer the more intuitive nature. So a lot of times when we would be just working with the silk screen, I did a lot of the color proofing, because I had that kind of ability to sense the colors. I have a very strong color theory background, so understanding what colors will lay well on top of each other and work well together. So now with this kind of new process, I've kind of taken the reins on it, and we do still very much work together. We both kind of work into it back and forth. But yeah, no, so they're both wonderful in different ways, and it's just kind of a personality as well as your mood changes. So it just depends on how you're feeling. If I want to do a monotype today, or I want to do, pull some additions. So.
Great. Okay. Well, Robin, thank you for that question. Oh, I'm about to have someone interrupt my live chat. Sorry.
All right.
Bye. So.
Oh.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Allison. It was so wonderful to talk to you, and I hope that your next couple of shows just provide inspiration and success for you and Jonathan. And we loved having you at Artisphere, presented by TD Bank this year, and hope that we get to see you next year.
Yeah, we hope so too. Thank you so much for hosting this. It's been lovely.
Great to talk to you. Have a great day.
Take care.
Okay,
Thanks,
bye.
everyone. Bye.